All right, y'all, we are back with another video, and here we go again. Now, we've been going through this for a while now, trying to figure out who is Donald Trump's vice president is going to be. You know, if y'all been watching me for a minute, you know, I always said Tucker Carlson. That was like my number one pick, but we don't think Tucker Carlson is going to do it. Then we got Elise Stefanik is another one. Vivek is another one that I like. So it's a lot of names out there that you know that Trump can choose from. Now, this one right here is coming from Benny. The name of Benny's title is, I just figured out who Trump's vice president is going to be. It's not who you think. Now, this is Benny's title, and I definitely want to see, do he know who it's going to be, or is Benny just saying this? I don't know. But we definitely about to figure it out and see. Make sure y'all please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the ones that always watches the entire video. I appreciate all of you that does that. I really, really appreciate it. So like I said, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into it, and let's see what type of news that Benny got. So like I said, the original video will be in the description, and y'all can go check it out on Benny's channel for y'all selves. But he did say he just figured out who it's going to be. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into it and see exactly what Benny have to say about it.
What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. I think we've done it. I think we've finally cracked the case. We've done 100,000 reads on who Donald Trump's VP pick could be, should be, would be, and now I think we've figured it out. I mean, I really do. I think we know. And it all has to do with this tweet from nearly 10 years ago. Donald Trump with a taco bowl inside of Trump Tower in New York City. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made inside of Trump Tower. I love Hispanics. Come on, it's a legend. I love Hispanics. 94,000 retweets, 134,000 likes.
That's a lot of retweets.
Possibly the most viral image ever of Donald Trump. This side of his mugshot. Donald Trump with the taco bowl on Cinco de Mayo. By the way, also his ex-wife here in a bikini. Little Easter egg in the photo. But I'm getting ahead of myself, okay? I'm getting ahead of myself. The bikini has nothing to do with the VP pick. But Donald Trump is eating a taco bowl on top of his ex-wife in a bikini. That's a matter of fact, okay? That is alpha energy right there. Ladies and gentlemen, the best ad that Donald Trump released in 2020 was Donald Trump's ad appealing to Latino voters. I don't care who you are or who you like in the 2024 presidential election. This is a banger. This slaps. Ay, 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 por Dios. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
I just love that. This is where Donald Trump got his dance moves, okay? Maybe Latino people taught Donald Trump his dance moves. I love Hispanics, says Donald Trump. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves here. Let's take a step back and listen to Donald Trump's words. When Donald Trump was asked who he wanted to be his vice president, Donald Trump says he knows who his vice president is going to be. Now, this was 6 months ago. Donald Trump was asked. He had just won the Iowa caucuses. Donald Trump was doing an interview on Fox, and he says, hold on, wait a second. I know exactly who my vice president is going to be.
He did say that.
He says something about that vice president's attributes.
Both election and primary, it's never really had much of an effect. I may or may not release something over the next couple of months. There's no rush to that. It won't have any impact at all. The person that I think I like is a very good person. Pretty standard. I think people won't be that surprised. But I would say there's probably a 25% chance it would be that person.
Senator Tim Scott on the list now?
No, he's a...
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear it? Did you hear it? What Donald Trump said? It's a very standard person. It's a well-known person. It's somebody you've known for a long time. It's somebody that isn't going to surprise anyone. Ooh, baby. Have we got some information for you? And we think we've cracked the case here.
Okay.
Based on some private calls that we've had and based on some public information that we know. And we'll tell it to you here in totality, okay? We're not betraying anyone's trusts. We just think we've put the pieces together.
Okay.
What Donald Trump says there, And this is after Vivek Ramaswamy had endorsed him. This is after the whole, like, Tucker Carlson flirting with Donald Trump running with Tucker Carlson kind of flirtation there that Don Jr. was pushing. Many people cheering for Vivek being the VP, including me. Many people cheering for Tucker Carlson to be the VP, including me. Okay,
me too.
I think that'd be very interesting. But none of that matches up to what Donald Trump has said in many, many public statements. Donald Trump has made many public statements about his VP pick. And it never is, I'm going to choose somebody radical that's going to shake up the system and blow up the machine. He's never said that. Donald Trump has never said that in dozens of interviews about his VP selection. Donald Trump has regularly said this is going to be somebody who is a standard choice who you know, a known entity, somebody who has been around the flat politically, and somebody who's going to, bring something special to the ticket, but somebody who is established. So, quite frankly, that really does rule out Tucker Carlson, who's never run for office, and Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't like saying that, and I don't think that this decision is completely made, but I think I know where this is headed. Who is he talking about here? And who would actually make sense fitting into this description? Well, certainly not Doug Burgum. Okay, and people are like, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Nobody knows who Doug Burgum is. Nobody knows who Doug Burgum is. Not Doug Burgum. Okay? Like, this may be a good chief of staff, all right? Somebody to run the Department of Education. Not Doug Burgum. And I'm not sure that means it's Byron Donalds either. I really like Byron Donalds. I think the person who Donald Trump is talking about here, when he says it's a standard person who you all know, and who won't surprise anybody, who's going to bring stability to my ticket, is Marco Rubio. And I can tell you all of the reasons why this makes an insane amount of sense, and some of what we've heard behind the scenes about this pick. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story out from...
Now, I do know for a fact that, like I said, Benny does talk to some of Trump's representatives, so Benny knows a good bit of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But he's saying that it could be Rubio. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't go with Rubio. I would like go with like a Elise Stefanik. I mean, one of my favorite, Byron Donalds, would be a great one. Because like I said, I don't think Tucker Carlson is going to do it. If we really just look at it, not looking like Tucker Carlson is going to do it. But Byron Donalds, Elise Stefanik, Vivek, you got J.D. Vance. But like I said before, Benny does talk to a good bit of Trump's representatives and stuff behind the scenes. So Benny might know some stuff that's going on and who he think it's going to be. But let's keep it going.
Legendary Florida veteran reporter Mark Caputo. Of 12 VP picks, the campaign vetted, Trump talks about Rubio and J.D. Vance the most. Rubio would likely be the favorite, but he has a constitutional residency issue. This is not that big of an issue. It's really stupid, actually. He's willing to move, but Trump might want him to quit office early to deprive DeSantis of a Senate pick. Okay, well, wait a second. What's this? So this article effectively said that Marco Rubio is the favorite. Donald Trump is strongly considering Rubio because he's keenly aware of Rubio is fluent in Spanish, is the only Hispanic on the short list, and is attractive to the establishment donors' is cash-hungry campaign needs. Member of the Senate Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee, Rubio grew close to Trump during his presidency and served as a key Latin American advisor shaping Cuba and Venezuela policy. The two men worked really, really closely together. In 2019, sources told me at this time, Rubio successfully lobbied Trump to ignore more hawkish voices in the administration who wanted President to consider military action in Venezuela with Nicolas Maduro. Trump respects Marco, and if it wasn't for the residency issue, Marco would probably get it, one Republican who spoke to Trump recently says. Trump, is concerned about it. He says Rubio's people have a memo showing that it's not a problem, but I'm not sure he's convinced. And he damn sure not moving. Okay, so what would this be? This is effectively a constitutional issue that says you can't have two president, vice president from the same state, all right? This was made up way back at the time. But there were 13 colonies. They didn't want one colony to have power over the other. There was only 13. All right. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were both from Texas. All right. They're both living in Texas. One of them moved. That's an easy way to get around that. You just declare residency in a different state. Marco Rubio could simply drop out of the Senate and then move his residency. This kind of stuff happens all the time. This is not the kind of stuff that would prevent Marco Rubio from being the pick. By the way, also, Marco Rubio does speak Spanish. Remember, Donald Trump, I love Hispanics. Well, ladies and gentlemen. So does Marco Rubio, as evidenced in this Fox News clip.
Using their Spanish skills to stand out on last night's debate stage.
The Hispanic vote matters a lot. Will this help them get it? So how was it perceived? Let's ask Florida GOP Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, you saw the segue. I know you watched last night. You saw the segue to Spanish by at least 3 candidates. Is that effective in the Hispanic community as you know it?
Bueno, primero, muchas gracias por tenerme hoy con ustedes.
Watching Univision?
Okay, so Marco Rubio is speaking Spanish there. Marco Rubio was also asked to speak Spanish on stage with Donald Trump. You may recall Ted Cruz challenging Marco Rubio to a Spanish debate with Trump in the middle. Look at this! What an incredible clip! Donald Trump doesn't forget this kind of stuff.
Well, how he knows what I said on Univision because he doesn't speak Spanish. And second of all, the other point that I would make.
Wow.
Did you hear Trump laughing?
Ahora mismo, díselo ahora. En español, si quieres.
This is a disturbing pattern.
Did you hear Trump laughing? Look at Trump standing there in the middle. Look at Trump loving this. Trump being like, ooh, baby, this is great. He's a fighter. Trump loved that line. You could tell. You could see it and you could hear it from Donald Trump. But most importantly.
But I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like it's just better names out there than Marco Rubio. That's just me. I mean, Vivek, Elise, J.D. Vance. You know what I'm saying? It's just so many more, I feel like, personally better names than him going with Marco Rubio or thinking about going with Marco Rubio. So y'all let me know in the comment section, what do y'all think about this, the possibility of him choosing Marco Rubio. Now, Benny said he does have insights and he does talk to some of Trump's people. So it could be true. It could be. We don't know yet. I know I don't know. So we're just going off the words of Benny right now.
I mean, beside the style, what does it look like from a electoral viability? Does this help Donald Trump? Scoop. Trump eyes Marco Rubio as potential VP list. The short list remains on the long side, but the Florida senator is gaining traction. Trump eyes Senator Marco Rubio's VP list, and there are a lot of logical reasons why you'd want this. As soon as that article came out, Marco Rubio tweeted just this emoji. Marco Rubio has been strong, by the way, on defending Donald Trump on X. The U.S. has put sanctions on other countries for doing exactly what Colorado Supreme Court has done today when they tried to rip Donald Trump off the ballot. It's got hella engagement, 40,000 likes and 9.2 thousand reposts. Donald Trump says he's considering Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris, you know him. But in this interview, Donald Trump says no, he's going to pick somebody who is not going to shock you, is what he says. Trump's VP pick, people won't be surprised. Well, wouldn't that be an entity like Marco Rubio, who's run for president against Donald Trump, who's been in the political zeitgeist for decades? Trump, of course, is campaigning in Florida and hosted a donor retreat with potential VP picks to see who the donors like. And guess who the donors like? The guy that is winning with Hispanics. Listen to these poll numbers.
Think, that Hispanic voters might be the types of folks who would have a backlash against Donald Trump's remarks, right? Ain't the case. If you ask Hispanic voters, who do they trust more on border security and immigration? Overwhelmingly, they trust Donald Trump more by a tremendous margin. Look at that, 49% to 24%. And that is in line with what we're seeing in the polls in general amongst Hispanics, right? Joe Biden won them overwhelmingly back in 2020, won them by over 20 percentage points. Democrats normally carry them overwhelmingly. If you look at the polling right now, and an average of polling amongst Hispanic voters, who do they choose in the ballot test? It's barely Biden by about 2 points. It would be the smallest margin for any Democratic candidate among Hispanic voters, basically throughout history since we started polling the gosh darn thing.
So this lines up, obviously, with national polls. I mean, obviously, you've seen a slight tick up in the black vote here and a pretty significant collapse in the black vote for Democrats. But what you're seeing here in the Hispanic vote is actually a trend toward parity for Hispanics. Now, why would that make sense from an electoral basis? Well, there's a lot more Latinos than there are black people in America. That's just the census numbers. There are 62.5 million Latinos in the United States of America in 2021. That number is probably skyrocketed.
You probably have by now.
I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that it is. You obviously know my stance on the open border. This accounts for approximately 19%, which is probably well over 20% of the total U.S. population.
Wow, this is like crazy. It's like y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about it. Could be potentially being Marco Rubio. Like, this is wild because, like, me personally, I wouldn't really expect it to be Marco Rubio, you know, because when you pick your VP, you want somebody who can at least take over, you know, as president if they have to. And I can see Vivek, you know what I'm saying, Vivek. And I actually like Vivek, and I understand a lot of people don't like Vivek. I absolutely like Vivek. I feel like because of some of his new ideas and stuff, and he ain't afraid to get on that microphone and say what he have to say. And I feel like Vivek would definitely be one that can really, really do a good job as president. But that's just me. So if I had to pick, I would rather have it Vivek over Marco Rubio. But, you know, that's just me. Or if it's not Vivek, Byron Donalds is another great one. Don't know really too much about like Tim Scott. You know, he's a great person. Elise Stefanik. I don't know if Marjorie Taylor Greene or Carrie Lake would do it, but there'll be some other good options as well. So y'all let me know who y'all think it should be. But, Marco Rubio, man, I don't know.
Just a couple of decades ago, 3 decades ago, in 1980, the population made up just 7% of the U.S. population. The fastest growing part of the U.S. population, without question. The states that have the highest number of Hispanics in them are big-time states that Republicans must win, like Florida and Texas and Arizona. I don't think you're winning California anytime soon, or New York. But nonetheless, these are really, really big states, and these cities that swing elections are like really, really big cities to win. The polls show that Trump is leading Biden with Hispanic voters by 2 points, young voters, and those voters would absolutely be attracted to a Marco Rubio. Trump whites out Biden's lead with Latino voters in CNBC survey. These are all of the headlines. You cannot find a single good headline. And
that's on CNBC.
For Joe Biden with Latino voters. So why not pick somebody who actually like speaks to those voters? And this is the thing that like was the cherry on top for me. Here it is.
Yeah, I seen that right there too when Trump met with Ron DeSantis. That is another one. That's a possibility that a lot of people have been saying that it could be Ron DeSantis. So I don't know.
Cherry on top for me is if Marco Rubio were to quit the Senate, right? They could call either depending on when he quit, in order to run with Donald Trump, you could call either a special election or the governor gets to appoint. And what did we just see this week? We saw Governor DeSantis meeting with Donald Trump.
Yeah, we did.
What is this meeting about? People say it's making sure that you could fundraise with Donald Trump, that Ron DeSantis is going to fundraise with Donald Trump and campaign with Donald Trump. And that may well be true. I have no evidence to prove that it's not true. But what would happen if Trump were to pick Rubio is DeSantis would get a Senate pick. Do you see what they're meeting about? This is it. Rubio quits the Senate. Doesn't seem like he likes that much anyway. Runs with Donald Trump. They win in a landslide. I think that's a landslide ticket. DeSantis gets to pick the replacement. Donald Trump is negotiating that replacement with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. He's going to get to choose the next senator or run somebody in that seat. Hell, maybe it's Ron DeSantis. You ever thought of that?
That's what I was
saying.
saying.
Maybe Ron DeSantis goes back to the Senate.
Wow.
Maybe that's what's going on. I'm not exactly certain. I wasn't at the meeting. But I do know people who know. And when we talked with a couple of big-time advisors to these two guys about this plan and said, hey, have I cracked the case? They laughed. That's it. That's all they did. They laughed and said, next question. What does that prove? They laughed and said, next question. Donald Trump's already campaigning for the Hispanic vote. I think it's a wiser play than the black vote, to be quite honest with you, just based on the numbers, right? And what numbers am I talking about? I'm talking about these numbers. I'm saying that the Hispanic voters are trending far sharper towards 50-50 Republican parity than black voters are, right? And I think that the appeal of somebody like Marco Rubio would make a lot more sense to this growing demographic, right, in the United States. I think that Donald Trump is obviously, Donald Trump's doing historic numbers with black voters, but there's still like a much larger uphill battle with that demographic than there are with Latinos. And now Donald Trump, appealing directly to Latinos, is messaging on the campaign trail like this.
Every disaster Joe Biden has created for Hispanic Americans, I will
solve. I'll get it solved, and I'll get it solved and start the process on day one. On day one, we will start that process. That's why we're going to win the record share of Latino votes. The first time ever, we're going to get the record share.
It's like he's already thought about this before.
Yep.
It's like Trump is playing chess.
He is.
4D chess. It's like he's already thought through this. Okay, so let's line everything up, and then I'll show you one last clip that'll like prove it all to you. Donald Trump has said many, many times, my pick is going to be somebody that you know. He said it again and again and again. Okay? It's time to listen to him. It's going to be somebody that you know. It's not going to be a wild card, Sarah Palin thing. It's going to be somebody that you know. It's going to be somebody that's established. It's going to be somebody who's a known entity, known quantity. Marco Rubio fits that. Donald Trump has seen the numbers with Latino voters. Marco Rubio could literally hit the campaign in Spanish. Joe Biden can't even speak English. Marco Rubio can speak Spanish fluently. Hit the campaign with him. They just do the switcheroo. They figure out like the residency issue, and they do the old switcheroo. Donald Trump had a bunch of residencies. Donald Trump could change his residency to New Jersey. Like Donald Trump has houses everywhere. Donald Trump has houses in Scotland. There's a Trump Tower in Tokyo. Okay, that's and they figure that out. They hit the trail. The number of supporters for Donald Trump, Spanish language supporters, go through the roof. Marco Rubio acts as a major bulwark for immigration policy towards Central America and South America. And Marco Rubio acts as a very strong shield for Donald Trump on these policies, right? Speaking on behalf of like, immigrants himself. Okay? Quite literally speaking the language. That's the argument for Marco Rubio. And the numbers play out, and it's already trending in the right direction. And even before Donald Trump announced he was running for president, even before Donald Trump announced he was going to run again, before it was just a twinkle in the eye, right? Donald Trump's launch of his 2024 campaign, before anybody had announced, MSNBC was doing live interviews at gas stations asking Latino voters about Joe Biden. And this happened.
Green car, an electric car, hybrid car?
All right, two-pronged question for you, William. Okay. The first one is this, and Katie makes a great point. The fact that we are seeing gas prices impact people's pocketbooks so much right now, would that change how you're considering voting for the next election, whether it's congressional later this year or presidential a couple of years down the road?
Definitely. I just know that one administration had cheaper gas, and this administration has more expensive gas.
And this is a bottom line, strictly financial conclusion for you.
I mean, it's a housing market. It's everything you previously mentioned. Gas is a big part of it, but, right now
I think this is your ticket. You all know that I'm a big fan of Adogg. You all know that I'm a big fan, obviously, of like Tucker or some of the more interesting choices that have been floated out there. A lot of these people come on the show. They're friends of the show. All right? Byron Donalds, right? I think
Byron Donalds.
That guy's a dynamo.
Yep.
Dynamo. But it looks like it's going to be Rubio. I think we've cracked the case. And I think that's what the DeSantis meeting was about. And I think that this is what is going to happen going forward. And so put a pin in this. If we're wrong, then we're wrong. Right? If we're wrong, then we're wrong. But
all right. Well, there we go right there. He said Benny said he feel like he cracked the code, and he feel like he think that it's going to be Mark Rubio. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Obviously, I told y'all I would rather be somebody else, like a Vivek, Elise Stefanik, Byron Donalds. Some other names like that. Kristi Noem is another good one. But, hey, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Thank you all for watching, especially the ones that stayed to the end. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.